Welcome to the Change Application Training within the Budget Planning and Analysis System. This training will provide an overview of how to add change items to the Change Phase 2 application, how to enter text and fiscal information, how to run reports to review change items entered, and lastly, how to distribute approved change items for the governor's budget recommendation. First, we will navigate to the change application within the budget system. As with BPAS, you first navigate to the administrative portal and log in using your employee ID and your SWIFT or semaphore. This will take you to the items you have a security to see in the administrative portal. Click on the Budget Planning and Analysis System hyperlink to open your BPAS system. When you open your BPAS system, two windows will open, the launch window and then the BPAS system itself. If you desire, you can return to the launch window and close the window, and if you may also log out of the portal so you don't get a timeout error in the future. So now the only Internet Explorer window I have open is BPAS. When you log into BPAS, it'll take you to your home page. This is where you can navigate to any of your applications right here or explore to reports. We are going to provide an overview of the change application, and in BPAS it's called Change Phase 2 because we've redesigned it, so it's CHG PH2. This is the change application within BPAS. So click on the application hyperlink. Your change application will open to this screen. The forms are located on your left navigation panel. This main screen in the middle is an information only. If you try to open a form here, nothing would happen. So to navigate in the change application, use your left-hand navigation screen. Click on the first form, 8.0, Change Item List. This will list all of the change items you have entered for your agency. You may use the drop-down screen to find the agency you are entering change items for. Just as in BPAS, your user security should be limited to the agencies you work with. So I work at MMB. I have statewide access. So I am going to search for my agency. It is more than likely if you have access to only one agency, you do not have to make any selections, but it'll open up to the correct location. So I selected G10, Management and Budget, and select the arrow to take me to that intersection of data. So no change items exist for Minnesota Management and Budget yet, so I'm going to create a new change item. I do that by right-clicking in this box, and up will open a navigation menu. I can either add a change item, delete a change item, or go to change item detail, or go to change item summary. I'm going to select add change item. An add change item box will open up and ask me to select some categories to enter as I enter a change item. As I create this video, Category A and Category B selections have not yet been identified. So I will just show an example of how you would enter these selections. Category A and Category B are simply ways to identify or code change items into buckets. 2 years ago, these are the buckets we used for the governor's budget. Is the change item essential or unavoidable? Are we reassigning programs or activities within state government? Is it technical? Is it an unsession idea? These are a hodgepodge of categories we used in the 14-15 biennial budget and the supplemental budget last year. So I am going to select technical. Currently, the Category B options are the statewide outcomes we use, as well as the tax, whether the change item is a tax or fee change. We used tax or fee change during the supplemental budget last time. I'm just going to select the state government outcome for now. I'm going to enter the name of the change item, new program for MMB, and then answer yes or no, does this change item have IT spend impact? All change items that have an IT spend impact are sent to Minute for review. And you should include your agency CIO in discussions when working on IT spend change items. This change item happens to not have a IT spend component, so I will select no. My agency is already selected. And the last category is just a high level information on what type of fund activity is in this change item. Is it 100% general fund? Is it in other funds like the 2000 fund? Is it in federal funds, or does it cross any of these categories? So for example, if it's general fund and 2001 fund, that's multiple funds because it crosses categories. So I'm going to choose multiple funds and select launch. This will create my change item on this first form, change item list. Click OK and you will see the change item name, the category A, category B, the fund summary, and the yes no whether it's an IT spend. I can now either go and assign the fiscal information assigned to this change item, or I may add another change item before moving on. I'm going to choose to add another change item. Second change item is going to be an unsession idea and also assigned to the government outcome. This change item is going to be called new additional spending request. And this one will have an IT component, so I will select yes. And this will be general fund spending only. This change item will be asking for additional direct appropriation with an IT component. Again, I click launch, and it'll take me back to this form. You notice that as I create change items, it'll create the change item in the next open number. So if I added a new change item, it'll be change item 3. I will show you later how you can prioritize your change items for reporting purposes without having to move the change items up or down as we did 2 years ago. I am going to then right click on my change item 1 and go to change item detail. This is where I'm allowed to add additional information about the change item. My first change item was new program for MMB. 2 required fields for each change item is going to be change item description and performance measures. Analysis 1 and Analysis 2 are additional fields that agencies do not have access to. This is where MMB writes any additional information they have on the change item. I am going to write the 2-sentence description for this new program. This program will provide additional support to agencies regarding onboarding activities. I have one description right now as I'm making up change items. I'm going to move to performance measures and identify how we will measure the success of this program. The number of new employees that receive appropriate resources upon hire. Obviously, these are just examples, and performance measures would have to include how we would collect that information through survey, etc. You'll notice that the mandatory fields are red until I enter values in there, and the cells turn yellow. That means I have entered data that has not yet been saved into the system. Now click Save. This data has been saved and clicked OK. Now I've entered all of the required text for my change item. I'm going to click on the next tab change item high level funding, and enter the change item funding request attached to this change item. So my change item 1, was multiple funds, meaning it was going to be general fund and the 2001 fund. So the general fund impact of this is going to be a direct appropriation that we will use on payroll and non-payroll. So we are asking for $50,000 per year for payroll and $15,000 in non-payroll activities to help fund a new initiative regarding onboarding. And again, the information is entered in yellow, and I will click Save, and that has been entered. Because I entered dollars in payroll regular, this indicates that I have FTEs associated with this request. The full-time equivalent position count field has been highlighted in red. Anytime you touch the payroll accounts, it also asks you to update the full-time equivalent. So I am either going to utilize this money for increased pay to existing employees, in which my impact to FTEs would be 0, or more likely I would be hiring additional staff to implement this new program. I would input my FTE impact and hit Save. So that is the general fund impact of this change item. I am going to now select the 2000 fund impact, miscellaneous special revenue, and click Go. I'll notice that my fiscal information disappeared because I'm no longer pointed at the 1000 fund. And then I enter the fiscal information related to the 2000 fund. Say in the 2000 fund, I am going to give grants to local governments, $100,000. I can also highlight a dollar amount, Control Copy, and spread it out to the out years, and Control V. Again, the dollars are in yellow. I click Save. The cells turn white, indicating the save happened successfully. This first change item had no information technology spending, so I can leave that field blank. So now, to review the entries I made on this change item, I can go to the last form, the last tab, the Change Item Review by Fund tab, and see all of the entries I made for my change items. So my new program for MMB, the text is always going to be in the general fund. So the new program for MMB is entered in the general fund. My FTE or my payroll and non-payroll impact is summed by biennial, and then my $100,000 per 16, 17, 18, 19 in the 2000 fund is summed by biennial impact. Now I can go back to Change Item and select Change Item 2. This will populate the Change Item 2 name I've already created, and again I'll have to enter the description and the performance measures associated with this change item. Requesting additional fund to cover oversight of performance measures would be, one example perhaps, is audit findings within state government. Again, the fields are yellow. I will click Save to save my text. I'll now move on to Change Item High Level Funding. And I have noted that my change item went back to Change Item 1. So I will click to select Change Item 2. We are working on making sure as you move between the 3 tabs, the change item remembers the change item you select on B1. Hopefully this will be solved by the time you start your entry. Make sure as you move between the tabs that it knows that you're working on the correct change item. So change item 2 is the text I entered. Change item 2 funding information I said was general fund impact only. So I'm going to search for the general fund, hit select, and go. And now my information technology spending line is red because I indicated on the first form that this change item had information technology spending associated with it. So I will enter the impact of my change item 2, increased spending, and put it in other non-payroll only. So fiscal year 15 impact will be for deficiency requests in the current fiscal year. The majority of change items will be for fiscal year 16 through 19. So I'm requesting another $20,000 per year for increased financial management and spread it out over the 4-year period. 100% of that activity I am going to associate with IT spend because we are going to be spending this non-payroll funds on updating systems for as a financial management tool. This field will still stay red, and that is okay. You may leave that field as red. So now this change item only has one fund impact. So I click on the last tab and see general fund, my title, and my 20,000 per year impact in my total forms. These fields are all grayed out, meaning any changes you would like to make to either the funding or the change item name must be made back on forms B.1 or B.2. And if you need to find your funding again, you can find the funds by selecting change item 1 and 1000 fund or change item 1 and 2000 fund to make your edits. So change item 1, 1000 fund. I'll see my funding impact associated with my first change item. If I select change item review, this form will show me all of my change items I've created. And here is where I'm able to select or make changes to my priority rating. I am going to collapse my navigation panel to make my screen bigger and show that my first column is my change item name. The second column is my priority ranking. And this is a change from how the application worked 2 years ago, where you had to move your change item up or down in rank order, and that is how you determined your priorities of change items submitted for the governor's supplemental or for the governor's budget. The priority ranking is an additional field, so we can leave our change items in the order entered. This change item will always be change item number 2 or number 1, but if I want to make it second priority, I can use this drop-down rank to say this is going to be rank number 2, and this is going to be rank number 1. You don't have to utilize 0. If there's nothing that's a 0, it'll show 0.1 first and 0.2 second. And this is how we determine priority order. And this may be updated throughout the process as you work with the governor's office and change priorities for your agency. The additional changes you may make on this field are changes to any of the fields you entered on the first form. The category A, category B, summary, and IT spends may all be updated here, and they are simply drop-down boxes with your available options. The last field that is new on this form is the change item status, and that is going to be either this change item is pending, it's been coded as a yes, or it's been coded as a no. So as the governor goes through his decision-making process, change items will be coded yes or no. All change items that are entered into the system for your agency may be coded to the status of yes, and that is how they will be submitted to MMB. You may enter additional change items that are still under consideration and leave them at pending, and MMB will only move forward those that are coded with change item category yes, and hit save. So MMB has submitted two change items, a new program for MMB and additional spending request. They have rank ordered the additional spending as priority 1, the new program is priority 2. We've coded those both as yes and will be submitted, if we left this entry as is for October 15th, will be submitted for the governor's decision making process this fall. We will be creating new category A and category B categories and sharing those with agencies in the future. If you would like to start doing entry and no categories have been created, you may just either leave them blank or select a category A and category B at this time and change them at a later date. I'm going to reopen my navigation pane and go back to my change item list. And I had not saved my field change, so it says there's unsaved data. Would you like to proceed? And I'll click no. I'm going to save this change. I go back to my Form A. And we'll see all of the two change items I have created for MMB. This is the process to follow for submitting change items by October 15th. If you would like to run reports to review entry made into the change item application, you may navigate to the Explore menu to find your developed reports. If you double click on the Detail Reports folder and then the Change Items folder, these are the reports that have been created to run against the change application. Unfortunately, MMB is still working on fine-tuning these reports to pull back data. Send an email when these reports are available to use, which should be shortly. Another outstanding process will be the distribution of change items. Distribution of change items will occur after the governor has made his budget decisions and before the fiscal page reports are created for the governor's budget. Once the governor's decisions have been made and shared with agencies, MMB will open up the change item application and agencies will be allowed to back into the system to distribute their change items. Once that occurs, agencies can go into Form D to find all of the change items that have been approved by the governor on Form D, and then go to Form E to select the change item and move the high-level dollars that have been approved by the governor down to the appropriation level. This video will add specific examples of how to distribute change items later in the fall as we get closer to governor decisions being made. We will send an email when the video has been updated for distribution examples. Under Statewide Budget Systems, BPAS Planning and Analysis. This web page has overall BPAS manual, the training videos, frequently asked questions as we get calls to the help desk and directly to our budget staff. We update our frequently asked questions, as well as any IT or access, common IT or access errors users are experiencing. So please check our website routinely before contacting the Swift Help Desk. Thank you.